Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
4 months into the job or so, what can you tell us, in your opinion, in that short amount of time about the state of the NHL and the relationship between the league and the PA?
Well, I think, being a hockey fan my entire life and coming out of the labor movement and understanding, trying to assess in 4 months where we are, or 3.5 months really. There's work to be done. I think the relationship with the league right now that I have with the league is a good relationship. Obviously, we have more work to do. I've been going around meeting before the playoffs. I had a chance to meet with, a bunch of teams and players. I've been talking to players all along from now through the playoffs. So obviously, when the playoffs started, you kind of cut back a little bit because players are focused on the playoffs. I've been meeting with some owners, meeting with different industry folks and getting to know them. I think that, the one thing, I don't want to say I'm an outsider because I'm certainly not an outsider, but there's a lot of room to grow for hockey. There's a lot of room to grow both in hockey-related revenue, promotion of the game, promotion of the players, and really growing the sport in a big way. I think that there's so many opportunities that we have moving forward here. We have a great group of players. The one thing that I'll tell you about the players, and everyone says this, and it's so true, they're a very humble group of guys, and they're not flashy, and they just want to play the game and love the sport. And I think that that's great for them, and I think we need to get them out there more so people understand who they are.
Everyone agrees with you, Marty. A team here in Vancouver, Marty, that is up against the cap. What do you anticipate when it comes to a rise in the salary cap?
Well, right now the league is saying $1 million. We've had some conversations about it. The league asked us if we'd be interested in raising the escrow. I said no. The players don't want to raise the escrow. There's 6% of their salary. They negotiated this during the COVID mini negotiation there. I think that when it comes to, again, this area is new to me. It's kind of when I think about growing the game of hockey, you really have to look at how do you grow the game of hockey when you only grow $1 million in the salary cap this year. And last year it didn't go up much. Next year it's going to go up on its regular track. I think we're living in very interesting, unique times where, COVID kind of threw hockey, threw every sport off the rails a little bit. And I think if we didn't have COVID, we would have seen an increase in the salary cap automatically going up more than $1 million. But as of right now, sitting here today, we're looking at $1 million raise in salary cap. Some players are concerned about it. A lot of GMs are concerned about it because those players that are up for contract this year, they're potentially limited in where they can go because so many teams are up against the top.
Okay, Marty, again, you're talking to a Vancouver audience, and there's no shortage of Canuck fans who would like to see every single player on the Canucks get bought out. What can you tell us about the possibility of at least one compliance buyout per team when the CBA expires, per team per year when the CBA expires in 2026? Is that on the table at all?
No, it's too early right now. I haven't really focused. I haven't focused on what the CBA negotiations will look like in a few years. Certainly we will be, as I'm going around the fall tour, talking to players, get a little more specific in my conversations with them. Certainly listen to fans too. Fans will give their opinion. And, I was one of those people that were a fan for a long time. Still am a fan of the game. But I think that really talking to the players and see exactly what the players want to make the priority going to negotiation. So it's a little too early for that. And it has not come up in my conversations as of right now, but we'll see as we move forward.
Hey, Marty, Canadian markets, how impressed are you with the revenue and the passion in Canada for hockey?
Oh, my God. I was, when I'm in Toronto and I turn on the Sportsnet or turn on any sports, just like hours and hours and hours of hockey. I love it. It's just unbelievable. It's like, when you're in America, it's like watching American football on ESPN here. I mean, I know they do some hockey on ESPN too, but it's unbelievable. And the press and the podcasts and everything just so engaged in every single aspect of hockey. I love it. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. And I had never seen that before. I've been to Canada a bunch of times, both as a role as not Secretary of Labor, but as Mayor of Boston and certainly as a fan. But really, the passion for hockey is amazing. I went to a bunch of Leaf games, and I couldn't get over the amount of Leaf jerseys in there. And I haven't been to Vancouver yet, but I plan on next season, when the season starts, get up to Vancouver, to a game in Vancouver, and Calgary and Edmonton and Winnipeg and Ottawa and all the teams. I plan on visiting them all. But the passion is amazing, which is great.
Hey, Marty, we got a player here, Tanner Pearson, 5 to 7 surgeries. His career could be over, actually, and grievance could be filed. Is there any update from the player's side on Tanner Pearson?
No, I've talked to Tanner a couple times, and we're just like waiting to see how the latest procedure went, and hopefully, with the help of God, he's good and he can get back to playing hockey again, which is it's a wait and see approach right now as we move forward.
Okay. I want to ask you about Gary Bettman refuses to believe that there is a correlation between hockey and CTE. How do you feel? Where are you with that?
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's an area that when I first took over this job, I had some conversations internally about it because I know it's such a big deal in other sports. And, I haven't taken a position per se yet. I want to learn more about it. There was a study done of a college a couple weeks ago that tied, fighting and CTE together. So it's something that we have to take a serious look at. I think anything that comes to the health and safety of our players, both while they're playing and after their career, we have to make sure we're front and center on. That's one of our roles as a union, to make sure our players are playing a game that they love, and that the health and safety of them physically, it has to be one of our top priorities.
Talking with Marty Walsh of the NHLPA. Hey, Marty, what attracted you to this job to the point you'd leave your position as U.S. Secretary of Labor?
Yeah, it was not. I wasn't looking to leave as Secretary of Labor. I was approached by a recruitment firm, asked me if I'd be interested in having a conversation. It really piqued my interest. I did not think. I never thought of this as a career opportunity for me. I just didn't. I didn't know, how PA directors got selected, or commissioners for that matter. And I started to have conversations with some players on the search committee. And just after the second meeting, I just thought, this is something that would really interest me, going back to my roots in organized labor and being head of a union. It was a decision. It was tough in the sense of leaving President Biden, because I respect the president so much, and him giving me the opportunity to be the labor secretary was amazing. But this is a potential career opportunity for me that I never would have thought. And I'm grateful I took the opportunity, because I love, I've been in this about 3.5 months now almost, and I love every minute of it, and getting to know. It's a challenge. It's a challenge in some ways. Hockey, it's a challenge because when it comes to collective bargaining time, I love that. That's my wheelhouse. I love that collective bargaining time space. But it's also about building relationships and growing in the game of hockey, getting to know the players, getting to know the industry, and knowing that there's so much potential for growth there. The hockey, I don't think, has even touched where it can go in sports.
You said you haven't been to Vancouver and that you plan to visit here, but are you allowed in Vancouver? Aren't you a former Bruins season ticket holder?
Yes, I think I have to. I was told very early on that I have to turn my allegiance over to all the teams. So as long as this broadcast isn't in the city of Boston, I'm okay. But I know. I have to. When I go to Vancouver, I'll go in there disguised. I won't be wearing any black and gold. I'll tell you that.
Hey, Marty, I hope we can go here. You've been very open about being an alcoholic and rising above those issues. Does that experience help you as a leader of young men, some of whom might be dealing with the same issues?
Yeah, every day. I mean, my life, when I got sober, I lived my life a day at a time. And the opportunities that have presented themselves to me since I stopped drinking and got into recovery have been amazing. And that's an area also that I'm very interested in making sure that not just the players, but their families, if they need help with drugs or alcohol, if they're having struggles, I want to get to the point where people will call me about it. I know that we have procedures in place and processes in place to take care of it, but it is a disease, and it's something that is very important to me. And hopefully, as we move forward here, we can strengthen the programs that we have in the NHL. Again, not just for the players, but for the families and the retirees too. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to get sober at 28. I had some fun with drinking. I had some disasters with drinking. But since I stopped drinking, my life has been amazing. Not every day is perfect, but you learn to live with life on life's terms. And so I'm hopeful that that experience I have will be able to help. If I help one player in my career, that will be beneficial to that player and that family.
You talk about low points, Marty. Didn't you get kicked out of a Bruins game at one point?
Yeah, I got kicked out of the Bruins game April 23rd, 1995. That was my last weekend, and that night was a bad time. And I was asked to leave the game. I was just being loud and obnoxious, and it was just, I'm not proud of it, but sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to get to where you need to go to. And I'm very fortunate. The Bruins, first of all, took me back into the Garden as a fan back in the day when I was the mayor. But more importantly, I've been able to have an amazing life. And when I say that, I'm not talking about my careers. I'm not talking about being mayor or secretary or the executive director of the NHLPA. Just living your life a day at a time, knowing that you can try and do the best in that particular day. That's what's important to me.
Marty, what concerns you about what is happening in Arizona? Let's be honest, that's not an NHL rink. I mean, what's going to happen?
I've said it. We met with the Coyote players, myself and Ron Hainsey, about 2 weeks before the season ended. I went to the last game there at the Mullet Arena. I walked around. I did a tour. I walked around before the game that day, and I went in there the night of the game, and I walked around. The Arizona Coyote players deserve to be playing in an NHL rink in front of fans. Fans deserve a rink for their players as well, for their team. Obviously the ballot question went down. I've spoken to the commissioner several times about this. We're going to see, I've made it very clear that if there's not some resolution by before next season, meaning that we're in the ground with a new building or there's playing in a new arena, that has to be the result of that. And so I'm keeping an open, myself and the commissioner having, me and Gary Bettman have a very open dialogue on that. And just, something I'm going to stay on top of. These players, I shouldn't call them kids. Let's put it this way. A lot of these guys started there as kids, and now they're getting into the prime of their career, and they're playing in the Mullet Arena. That's just not right.
Yeah. We could go on and on, Marty. By the way, I looked you up on Wikipedia. Do you know that there's a Marty Walsh in the Hockey Hall of Fame? He was born on the 1800s.
I told Brian Burke that. When Brian Burke called me up, and he said, he said to me, "Oh, congratulations. It's great you're there." And I said, "Brian, there's a Marty Walsh in the Hall of Fame." He goes, "No, there's not." And I go, "There is." And he called me back an hour later. He goes, "There is." I play for Montreal. I have his hockey. I don't know if it's original. I have a hockey card here in my house with him, Marty Walsh. So when I went to the Hall of Fame the first time, I found him. I found his name on the wall. Pretty funny. No relation, I don't think.
Shocking that Berkey would have a disagreement with somebody.
Yeah, and that was my first conversation with him. So I figured that, we got off on a good foot there.
we know him well. Again, Marty, we could go on and on. We'll let you go. Thanks so much, and all the best in your new job.
Thanks, guys. I look forward to getting on here again, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys soon.